A day after we moved into the new apartment. My phone rang while I was folding clothes. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer it. "Hello?" I said. There was a pause on the other end. Then a woman spoke, her voice low and tense. "This is going to sound strange," she said, "but I used to own your apartment." My stomach tightened. "Okay?" "I forgot to turn off a hidden camera," she continued. "I saw what your husband did while you were at the store yesterday." My heart dropped. "I need you to come over right now," she said. "Alone, and please don't tell him anything." The call ended before I could ask a single question. I stood there frozen, the sound of the dryer humming in the background, my hands gripping a shirt so tightly my knuckles turned white. Hidden camera! What did she see? I replayed yesterday in my head. I had gone out to buy cleaning supplies. I was gone for maybe 40 minutes. Nothing felt unusual when I came back. My husband, Daniel, was sitting on the couch scrolling through his phone like always. Normal. Too normal. I looked down the hallway toward our bedroom. Daniel's voice drifted out, calm, familiar, safe. Or so I thought. I didn't say anything. I told him I forgot to buy milk and was running back to the store. He smiled. "Be careful. Traffic's bad." That smile hurt more than anything. The woman lived only 10 minutes away. I don't remember the drive. I just remember my heart pounding so loudly it felt like it was echoing inside my skull. She opened the door before I even knocked. She looked nothing like I expected. Not creepy, not dramatic, just tired, mid-40s, messy bun, nervous eyes. "Thank you for coming," she said quickly, stepping aside. "Please, sit." Her living room was quiet, clean, almost sterile. On the coffee table sat a laptop already open. "I don't do this to scare people," she said. "I swear. The camera was installed years ago after a break-in. I forgot it was still active." I swallowed. "Just show me." She nodded and turned the laptop toward me. The video began. It showed my living room, bare walls, boxes still unpacked, the afternoon light coming through the window. Then Daniel walked into frame. My chest tightened. He looked different on camera. Not relaxed, not distracted. He stood still for a moment, like he was listening for something. He checked the door. Locked. Then he walked to the hall closet. I leaned forward, barely breathing. He opened it and pulled out a shoebox. My shoebox, the one I kept old photos in. He sat on the floor and opened it slowly. Inside were envelopes. Money, a lot of it. My mouth went dry. He counted the cash carefully, stacking it neatly. Then he took out a small notebook and flipped it open. The camera couldn't capture the words clearly, but the woman paused the video and zoomed in. I could read it now. Kitchen fund. Below it, dates, amounts, notes. Overtime. Sold old tools. Skipped lunch. My eyes burned. The video continued. Daniel closed the notebook and just sat there for a moment. He rubbed his face with both hands. Then he whispered something. The camera caught it. "I hope it's enough." I covered my mouth. The woman stopped the video. "He did this every night," she said quietly. "I checked the footage history after your call yesterday. Same routine. He thought the camera was off." I couldn't speak. "I didn't know if I should tell you," she continued. "But secrets like this, they can go either way. I didn't want you thinking the worst." I nodded, tears silently rolling down my face. "I won't tell him," I said. "Please, don't ever mention this to him." She agreed immediately. I drove home slowly this time. Everything felt different. The apartment didn't feel empty anymore. It felt full, heavy with love I didn't even know existed. That night, Daniel cooked dinner like nothing had happened. He joked about the crooked shelf we needed to fix. He asked if I liked the neighborhood. I watched him the entire time. Every small movement felt louder now. After dinner, when he sat next to me on the couch, I leaned into him and rested my head on his chest. He laughed softly. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Just happy." He wrapped his arm around me without another word. I never told him. Weeks passed. Then months. Life moved on. Until one evening, Daniel came home carrying a small envelope. "Close your eyes," he said, smiling nervously. I did. When I opened them, there was a folded piece of paper inside. An estimate for a kitchen renovation, my dream kitchen. I laughed and cried at the same time. "I know it's not everything yet," he said quickly. "But I wanted you to see it. I've been saving since before we moved." I hugged him so tightly he almost dropped the paper. "You didn't have to," I whispered. I wanted to, he said. You deserve it. That night, as he slept, I stared at the ceiling and thought about the camera. About the woman, about the version of my husband, I only saw because someone forgot to turn something off. And I realized something important. Love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it hides in shoeboxes. Sometimes it only shows itself when no one is watching. Months passed after Daniel showed me the kitchen estimate. But something inside me never fully settled. Not because I doubted his love. Because once you see a hidden truth, you start wondering how many more are buried beneath the surface. Life looked normal from the outside. We both worked long hours. Weekends were spent unpacking the last boxes, fixing small things around the apartment, learning the rhythm of a new place. But Daniel changed. Not in a bad way, in a quieter way. He came home later. He checked his phone more often. He started taking calls outside. I told myself I was imagining it. One evening, while I was folding laundry, his phone buzzed on the table. A message preview lit up the screen. Did you move the money? My chest tightened. I didn't open it. I didn't touch the phone, but the question stayed with me all night. When Daniel came to bed, he fell asleep almost immediately. I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to his breathing, trying to convince myself that secrets don't always mean betrayal. Sometimes they mean protection. A week later, I got another call. Same number. My heart sank before I even answered. It's me, the previous owner said. I'm sorry to bother you again, but something new showed up. My fingers went cold. The camera? Yes, I checked it before disabling it completely. I shouldn't have, but I did. I closed my eyes. What did you see? She hesitated. He wasn't alone this time. The room started spinning. He met someone in your apartment while you were at work. I couldn't breathe. A woman? A friend? A stranger? I don't want to assume anything, she added quickly. But I thought you should know. I sat down slowly. Please, I said. Just tell me. She sent the video to my phone. I didn't watch it right away. I stared at the thumbnail for a full minute. Then I pressed play. The living room appeared again. Same couch, same light. Daniel walked in first. Then another man followed him. Older, gray hair, rough hands, work boots. Not what I expected. They sat across from each other in silence for a moment. The man finally spoke. You shouldn't be doing this alone. Daniel leaned forward. I don't want her worrying. The man sighed. She's your wife. I know, Daniel said. That's why I can't tell her. They opened a folder. Documents, legal papers, medical forms. My stomach dropped. The man tapped one page. The doctor was clear. You can't ignore this. Daniel rubbed his temple. I'm not ignoring it. I'm managing it. By hiding it? By protecting her, Daniel snapped. I paused the video. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. Medical. Doctor. Protecting me. I forced myself to continue. The older man's voice softened. How long have you been feeling this way? Daniel looked down. Since before the wedding. I felt like the air had been sucked out of my lungs. I didn't want to start our life with fear. Daniel continued. She deserves normal. Not this. What if it gets worse? Daniel was quiet for a long time. Then he said something that broke me. Then I'll make sure she's taken care of before it does. The video ended. I sat there for a long time, staring at nothing. All this time, I thought the shoebox was the secret. It wasn't. The money wasn't just for a kitchen. It was insurance, protection, a plan, for a future that might not include him the way we both imagined. That night, Daniel came home exhausted. He tried to smile. It didn't reach his eyes. I almost confronted him. Almost. Instead, I made dinner. We ate quietly. Then I did something I had never done before. I asked him a simple question. Are you scared of anything lately? He froze. Just for a second. Then he shook his head. No, why? I reached across the table and held his hand. Just checking, I said. His grip tightened around mine. That night, he didn't fall asleep quickly. He stared at the wall, his back turned to me. I wanted to tell him I knew. I wanted to tell him he didn't have to carry it alone. But I also understood something now. Some people don't hide the truth because they don't trust you. They hide it because they love you too much to let you see them weak. And sometimes love isn't about exposing every secret. Sometimes it's about waiting for the moment when the truth is ready to breathe. I didn't sleep that night. Daniel lay beside me awake, pretending not to be. I could feel it in the way his breathing never fully settled. In the way his shoulders stayed tense, like he was bracing for something that hadn't arrived yet. Morning came quietly. He got up first, showered, dressed, kissed my forehead like always. "Love you," he said. "Love you too," I replied. The door closed behind him, and the apartment felt heavier than it ever had. I didn't go to work that day. I sat at the kitchen table staring at the same spot for hours, replaying the video in my head. The papers, the words, the way he said my name like it was something fragile. By afternoon, I knew one thing for sure. If I waited for him to tell me, it might never happen. And I didn't want the truth to come out in an emergency room, or a phone call in the middle of the night, or through another forgotten camera. I wanted it to come out here, at home, with me. That evening, I cooked his favorite meal. Not to pretend everything was fine, but because it felt like the safest way to start. Daniel noticed immediately. "You're spoiling me," he said, trying to joke. I smiled. "Sit, eat." Halfway through dinner, I put my fork down. "Daniel," I said quietly. He looked up. "Is there something you need to tell me?" His face changed. Not panic, not anger. Relief. It was subtle, but it was there. He leaned back in his chair and stared at the ceiling for a long moment. "I've been trying to figure out how," he said. My throat tightened. "So it's true." He nodded slowly. "I didn't want you to find out like this," he whispered. "Like what?" "Like me being cornered." I stood up and walked around the table, kneeling beside him. "I already know," I said. "About the doctor. About the papers. About the money." His eyes snapped to mine. "How?" I took a breath. The previous owner forgot to turn off a camera. Silence filled the room. Daniel's face drained of color. He covered his mouth with his hand and laughed once, bitter and shaky. "Of course," he said. "Of course that's how." I waited. He finally spoke. "I have a heart condition," he said. "It's manageable. Until it isn't." I felt the words hit my chest, heavy and sharp. "How long?" I asked. "They don't know," he said. "Could be years. Could be less." "And you planned all of this alone?" My voice broke. "The money, the saving, the backup plan?" He nodded. "I wanted you safe," he said. "No debt, no stress. No wondering how you'd survive if you didn't," I finished. He couldn't look at me anymore. "I didn't want to be the reason your life fell apart," he said. "I wanted to be the reason it kept going." I reached for his face and forced him to look at me. "You don't get to decide that alone," I said through tears. "You don't get to love me quietly and suffer loudly." He broke. Fully this time. He cried like someone who had been holding their breath for years. "I was scared," he said. "I still am." "I know," I whispered. "But you don't have to be alone." We sat on the floor for a long time, holding each other, the truth finally between us instead of buried in shoeboxes and files. Later that night, Daniel said something that stayed with me. "I thought love meant protecting you from the truth." I shook my head. "Love means trusting me with it." He nodded slowly, like he was learning something new. That night, for the first time in months, he slept deeply, and I stayed awake, not from fear anymore, but from determination. Because whatever time we had, short or long, it would be honest, together. Ready when you are. Part 4 options. Healing plus daily life after truth. Medical scare, hospital moment. Deep emotional past, why he hides pain. Just say which one. The days after the truth came out were quieter than I expected. No dramatic arguments, no constant tears. Just a new kind of honesty settling into the space between us. Daniel stopped pretending he was fine. That alone changed everything. He moved slower in the mornings now. He sat down when he felt dizzy instead of brushing it off. He told me when his chest felt tight instead of disappearing into another room. And I stopped watching him like I was waiting for something bad to happen. We learned each other again. One evening, while we were washing dishes together, he said, "I hate that you look at me differently now." I paused. "How? Like I'm fragile." I turned off the water and faced him. "I don't see you as fragile," I said. "I see you as human." That word stayed with him. Human. Not strong all the time. Not silent all the time. Just human. We started going to appointments together. I sat in the waiting rooms. I asked the questions he never asked. I wrote things down when his hands shook slightly. The doctor spoke in calm, careful sentences. Management, monitoring. Lifestyle changes, no guarantees, but also no deadline. On the drive home from one appointment, Daniel finally said what he'd been holding in. I thought if I planned enough, you wouldn't hurt. I looked at him. You planned for my life without you, I said gently. But you forgot to plan for your life with me knowing. He nodded. I don't want to waste time hiding anymore. So we didn't. We talked about everything we used to avoid. Fear, anger, regret. He told me he grew up watching his father die slowly, quietly, never asking for help. I promised myself I'd never put someone through that, he said. And instead, I replied softly, you tried to carry it alone. That night we packed the shoebox together. Not to hide it, to organize it. The money went into a joint account. The notebook stayed, but with new notes, trip fund. Emergency together, future, whatever it looks like. Weeks turned into months. Some days were hard, some days were normal, and some days were unexpectedly beautiful. One Sunday morning, Daniel stood in the kitchen watching sunlight hit the empty walls. You still want that dream kitchen? He asked. I smiled. Only if you're here to cook in it, he laughed. Deal. For the first time since we moved in, the apartment didn't feel like a place we were preparing to leave behind. It felt like a place we were choosing. Every day. And I realized something else. The hidden camera didn't just expose a secret. It changed the direction of our life. Not by showing me what my husband was hiding, but by teaching us that love doesn't mean preparing for loss in silence. It means living fully, honestly, while you still can. Thanks for watching this true life story. If you believe in real love, secrets, and life-changing moments, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because every week we bring stories that make you feel, think, and never forget. Remember, life